Hey there, Toonami faithful, and welcome back aboard Toonami Absolution, where we talk about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. Once again, we are your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John. Yes, episode 15 and 16 of Bebop. My Funny Valentine and Black Dog Serenade, both Adult Swim debuted on October 21st, 2001. A really interesting pair of episodes, sort of side characters getting into the spotlight time.
Yes, it's the last time I think we give Jet Black the spotlight really for an entire episode, and it is the first of two times we give Faye the kind of the background, and we finally learn about her backstory in this episode.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
You know
I
a
also
lot about
oh,
Faye. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I also really like that we get two good scenes with Ed and Jet together. I forgot how good they play off each other. Like there's something very fun about the two of them getting to like talk and hang out a little bit, and the whole bit with the bonsai trees and everything.
Bonsai trees. Jet.
Bons-
Yeah. Ed. Oh.
Yeah, I love. I think this is the reason I think people miss why Ed works in Bebop is because Ed's always in their own world, but because of that, they work as this place where characters will open up. Like Jet will open up to Ed, Faye will open up to Ed, where they won't open up to each other. Like Ed plays a very important role in getting the story to where it needs to go. By no one treats them seriously, so all these sort of hardened mercenaries are like, yeah, I can tell Ed anything because Ed's not going to really listen.
yeah, Ed's doing Ed things, and
Yeah.
I like that. I think it also adds a little. It adds like a little sweetness to some very bitter coffee, you know?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, it's Ed in a way is kind of the connective glue that keeps. I mean, obviously there's quite a few episodes before Ed even shows up, but once they do, that's when Bebop really feels complete. And yeah, I think this episode's a good showcase. Well, I mean, it's odd. We get a weird the Faye episode. I forgot how weird it is overall. Because it is a weird, like, kind of like, oh, they're making fun of Faye for like her, now over the hill love interest because she's been, in cryo sleep for 50 some years. And then the other episode is a neo noir, straight up like neo noir thriller with that happens to star Jet Black.
Yeah, I like that Jet's flashback basically implies that the space police are still operating on Humphrey Bogart rules.
the best rules
Yeah.
to work on.
It, it's very we'll always have Paris with him in the fedora and the black and white with the revolver. I I love the anachronism of that. It's very fun.
I mean, also it plays beautifully into the themes of the episode. We have this recurring theme of the world has moved on. Yeah, we have Fad with his revolver. He's like, Jet even calls him on it, like, you're not doing much with that gun. We have our villain who tries to go back to the syndicate and is told the world's moved on, can't come back. It's
Yeah.
very cleverly built. All these weird anachronisms are there to tell you that these are all people who've been left behind by time.
And I think that it works really well in conjunction with the Faye episode where she's outside of time because she doesn't have a past. And Spike says it. She only really has a future, which I think is very interesting.
And I bring up all the Sleeping Beauty stuff. We are doing archetypes. Faye is the Sleeping Beauty archetype. Jet is the noir detective archetype. And how they are sort of stuck in their stories is a very important thing there. Like Jet, again, Faye can never really break out of what she thinks she is. Jet, again, he's in that same position. He can't not see himself as this detective, and that leads him into trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. It's also what broke up his relationship a few episodes ago. It's yeah, in a weird way, Jet's kind of I guess to keep the Bogart thing going, he's like a Raymond Chandler character that just can't quite, it's like the long goodbye. Elliot Gould doesn't fit in modern Los Angeles. He's a living anachronism. Jet kind of has that, but Jet at the same time, but really only when Jet's in the spotlight. When Jet kind of keeps to himself on the sidelines, he's Jet. He's old reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also becomes interesting with Jet because you got to compare him, right? Where his hobby is bonsai trees on this spaceship. His spaceship is old and falling apart. His arm is old and falling apart. Like there's Jet's past career is an anachronism, but he's still out of even if we think back to with his girlfriend, it was throwing away the watch. Time is such an important piece to his character, and the fact that it keeps trucking on and he's still kind of in one spot, which is interesting.
Yeah. I like how they use. I think there's a couple of different things with this. The jetpack they do really well. And one thing I love is the gun that Fad carries. Is the only way Fad's plan would have worked is if he was still using the old gun. Everyone else is using modern handguns that you can't have a chambered round that will not fire. You can only do that with a revolver. So if he had modernized, he couldn't sort of go out his way. There's something really cleverly thought out about that whole thing. Like, there, I planned this specifically, and it is using that older instrument.
Yeah.
And you talk about music, we talk about older instruments. They are worth more usually because of this same reason.
There's a moment where Faye straight up asks Jet, and she's like, you can get a better arm, a better prosthetic, and he's like, oh, I'm okay with this.
Yeah, this ship is my ship. This arm is my arm, and
Yeah.
that's what I like about it.
My charter, my boat. Yeah.
And I really want to point out, I mentioned it when we did Fullmetal Alchemist, how rare that is to see a character with a prosthetic limb, where it is treated as it saves Jet's life in this because he blocks a bullet with it, but it's nice to see him be protective of it in a way that I think, if you know people who use prosthetics, it's not a part of you that's broken. It's my arm. I like the fact they approach Jet in that way with it, where it's not like he's not always constantly cursing it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I don't need to be fixed. And it's rare to see that kind of rep in anime, especially that rep in anything these days. We still haven't really got to that point.
Must have been one heck of a sniper rifle shot to take off the arm, too.
I mean, I presume the implication was it had to be amputated.
Yeah, it was kind of what I thought, because it's amputated at the shoulder. So what I thought happened was that, especially considering the size of the slugs in that, it probably shattered inside of his shoulder and in his shoulder blade, and it probably tore everything up. So it was much easier in that time period. It'd be easier to give him the prosthetic than try to save the arm.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing about sniper rounds. They shatter.
Yeah. They do. They do.
That's the reason we try and outlaw them.
What do we think of Whitney?
Whitney is such an interesting character in that he is. I love how again, we have some people feed on the banality of evil. Whitney is a horrible man, but also you kind of end up almost rooting for him because of just the sheer gall this man has. Must be studied. I want to point out there's a few changes to how they talk about him in the Japanese and English. In Japan, they make it much clearer he's committing matrimonial fraud. That is slightly more common in Japan, or at least people being charged with that. I believe, my knowledge of American law isn't perfect, but I believe in America it'd probably just be normally fraud. Matrimonial fraud isn't really often accused as its own crime these days.
Yeah,
I believe it's probate fraud, as the Americans would call it. But but in England, in English, they call him Don Juan, where he's known as the Madame Killer in the Japanese version. Which I think the Don Juan reference is slightly better than the Madame Killer. It makes more sense, but maybe that's not as a common reference in Japan.
I like that they build him up as this lady killer, and he's such a small fish in this pond. Like, Jet added a 0 onto his bounty to make people want to do this.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the scene when he's in the ship with Faye, because there is a real sense of malice with Faye, like especially because he gets involved in the dogfight with Spike. Because like, this is the guy who thought he was all that has just discovered, oh, there's a layer deeper than you, and you are doomed.
Yeah, he's a piece of. It's like Faye sees him through rose-colored eyes in a lot of ways that Spike and Jet never would because they never knew him from the before times. So
Four times.
when they finally see Whitney, they're just like, Spike makes fun of Faye for it. He's just like, okay.
It, it's so that feeling of like running into your high school boyfriend again. Like it's been like 10, 15 years. He doesn't play football anymore. Like that's kind of, and your friends are all like, "Really? You dated this guy?" Like that's the energy out of it. I really like that. It feels so real. And like they're kind of becoming friends because of that kind of razzing.
Yeah. I do think it is like I think it tonally balances we're gonna get another Faye backstory episode, and if I recall correctly, I like this one better because it isn't as melancholy as the other one. The other one's quite, granted the entire home stretch of Bebop can get quite melancholy, but yeah, I think tonally this one's better balanced compared to the wider aspect of the show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of interesting. So I've got a question. So when Faye she's in the hospital, we first meet her and him. She says, "Oh, that's a TV, that's a phone," and he goes, "Actually, they're all of other things." Do you believe he put those items in that room specifically to mess with her?
Um,
Because I watched I talked with a friend about this, and we both look at it differently. Because I see that as a deliberate attempt to unease her so she's more open. Because why would there be a washer in your hospital room above the bed? Like all those items are laid out so specifically to allow him to go round and go, that is that, to the point. Because keep in mind, he knows she passes out when she gets over excited.
Stimulated.
He was there when she woke up, so he had all the time in the world to plant those items there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we know he's, treads heavily on manipulation and deception, so it's not out of character for him to do that. Um, there's part of me that thinks he would have lied to her regardless of what was around the room just to keep her off balance.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
know, it's this guy he's just a sleaze. He's just a sleaze. He's that ex-boyfriend or ex-partner that nobody's particularly proud of having, but there's still that kind of like they're still like, "Oh, I was attracted to you at one point." Okay,
There's
fine.
still that soft spot.
Yeah. Can't quite completely get over it, just like, "Ah, damn it. Still got a hook or two in me, don't you? All right. Fine."
Like every time I get out, they pull me back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also like how we parallel him to Vicious quite a few times, especially with the ending we have. Because, like, again, what did Vicious say? You'll have to betray me at some point. Faye gets that option here and actually decides that, no, yeah, sure, I'll throw him into the cops to get the. Again, it's the idea we're sort of also pointing out that Vicious isn't the only terrible person in this world. They're not all as bad as Vicious. Vicious is outwardly disgusting, but there's a lot of people who are disgusting on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah, Vicious is also like almost a force of nature, like the personification of death or evil. Anyone that crosses Vicious is going to end up dead in some capacity. Um, but everybody, and the villains in Bad Cowboy Bebop are alternatively incompetent, like to the point of like humor, or just personal enough where they keep Spike. I guess Mad Perot isn't necessarily a personal enemy for Spike, but yeah,
Like
there is that kind of like odd juxtaposition with the Bebop crew.
I was kind of even thinking too, like Vicious is so larger than life as a villain. Like he's dressed like Sephiroth. Like he is a Square Enix villain. He is his what makes him grounded is that relationship to Spike, but outside of that, he's kind of mustache twirlingly evil. A majority of the other villains, despite how weird they can be, feel much more realistic in compare. Like a dude committing marriage fraud on women coming out of comas. Yeah, like I can like that is a thing that I can buy. Like a hacker who builds a failure into something he made because of the corruption of capitalism, I can buy that. Like Vicious has like a freaking peacock thing and a trench coat and a sword, and it's just he is like I said, he's a Square Enix villain, and all the other villains are a lot more grounded.
That's a good call with Sephiroth because you know, more than just the sword and the white hair. Final Fantasy VII came out like the year before Cowboy Bebop. So like I don't know, it was like Watanabe just like sitting around with his PS1. It's like I can do this. I can do this.
Something in the water that's made everyone like come up with Sephiroth at the same time.
Everybody had a fever dream of Sephiroth at the exact same time in the 90s.
Yeah, everyone has the visions that Cloud has in Remake, where they're like, "Oh God."
They're like, this is the villain.
Sephiroth.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I like the villains that we got out of these 2 episodes. I like the idea of, you know, this gangster, this assassin literally outlived his usefulness. Like there's something very interesting about that. And it's such a he's basically getting laid off from his job.
It's also both episodes are hinged entirely on betrayal, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's kind of the underlying connective theme here, be it in relationships or in professional relationships. Yeah, like Fad does kind of just dispatch the assassin during the middle of that climactic showdown, doesn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it also mirrors how he took off Jet's arm as well, that I quite like.
Yeah.
Again, he couldn't shoot from the front. He had to wait for a guy to be turned around.
Yeah.
Which is
what happens when you run out of bullets in the chamber? Oh
yeah.
man.
Other things I quite like. The Faye episode, I love Flying Teapot, the song we get during their romance thing. I always wish Kano talked more about it because it presumably was written for the episode, but I love how it's the most on-the-nose love song you could have, which means it perfectly sets up that Faye is being played.
Yeah.
Because it's all the chords you would like if you get to Baby's first ballad writing book. It's like, here are the chords, here's the change. It's so on the nose, it feels too perfect.
It's even the lyrics are so on the nose, but they're also ominous in their own kind of way. Where I want to go, like one of the opening lines is, "I want to go where stars fall," and anybody who has a knowledge of what happens with a shooting star is that it is space junk burning up in the atmosphere. Like it's a cynical way of looking at it, but all the imagery that's used in the lyrics, when you break it down into what it actually is, it's kind of brilliant.
It is really clever. There's a few bits of the episode that I wonder, because there's a few references in the Faye episode that I wonder if they are foreshadowing. Because, for instance, one of the cars you see zoom past Faye when they're going on the overpass is a yellow Fiat 500. Who famously drives a yellow Fiat 500? Lupin.
As I said.
Yeah. And also, like, Faye's cryotube has both the US Enterprises ID and the date marked on it is 23rd November, which is the first episode of Doctor Who. But that episode is specifically called An Unearthly Child, and it has that same idea of someone tripping into a new world they don't fully understand. And the first episode of you've seen it has a big play on Ian not trusting the Doctor, and like, is he telling the truth, or have I just walked into this crazy man? So I always wonder if that was a very subtle nod to what's going on here, because Faye is in that same. She is she is Ian in this. She's walked into this whole world of magical technology and is now learning, can I trust this person? Or am I being taken for a ride?
Turns out
she was, unlike Ian, who was taken for a ride, but more literally.
Yeah, I mean, and it's how much of that experience do you think imprinted on Faye to become the ultimate con artist herself?
Oh yeah, you can't be a screwed over if you're the one doing the screwing.
Yeah.
One of my actually favorite Faye moments is when Spike overhears her story. The very next scene, when Spike's like, "You said you were a gypsy, you're making that up." She goes, "I'm older than you." The second that factors out, she immediately uses it to pull rank. Every time before it was known, she wouldn't kind of brush away from it. It's out. So the first thing I'm going to do is immediately use it as a shield. I'm not going to let you get it over me.
Especially in Japanese culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just love the fact that she immediately her first response is, "I'm going to go on the offensive."
Yeah.
Like, Spike, you have to play by my rules for this reason now. And like previously, she's done, "Oh, I'm in charge of this." Yeah, if you're the one leading, you can't be screwed over unless you're leading a syndicate, in which case, bad news.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Bad news is gonna come. Bad
But she
news.
doesn't know that yet, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Also, specifically, also like the point of her being named by the Doctor. She's named Valentine after the title My Funny Valentine, which like, I'm not sure if this is intentional, but I always like how melancholy that is because My Funny Valentine is mostly known for being a standard that everyone covers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It-
it's generic.
It's generic in a way, but I think the interesting thing about My Funny Valentine as a song, because Sinatra covered it, so of course I'm going to talk about it. The way that it's portrayed, if you look at the lyrics of the song, it asks these questions like, is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? Like it's questioning the subject of the song, and it's interesting because of that fact, right? Like, because the funny Valentine in the song doesn't have any characteristic other than being pretty.
Yeah. Which makes sense because he says himself, the gates without Faye's identity. We can leave that to presume they're literally picking up people who have nothing but large debt.
Yeah.
No. Golly.
Yeah.
Golly.
It's been my thing this, even when Bebop is doing its sort of sillier or weirder episodes, it knows its themes and it's playing to its themes.
There's a moment coming up soon, actually, involving Faye's backstory that kind of comes out of nowhere. It's not ostensibly not an episode focused on Faye's past, but then suddenly becomes about Faye's past. That's kind of a bit of a wallop because normally it's just happy-go-lucky Cowboy Bebop, and then something happens where you're like, oh, like you get that emotional gut punch. So that you have that to look forward to with Faye and her history.
Oh
But
yeah.
I do like some of the episode teases, of course. The way we close out every episode, and also one of my favorite episodes in the latter half of Bebop is the next one. It's the train heist. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Train heist.
Anytime Breaking Bad did it, it was great. If you can put in a train robbery somewhere, I think Firefly like opens with a train heist, if I remember correctly.
One of the opening now, yeah.
Yeah.
Train heists are good. Because trains are good. Heists
People
are good.
love
Combine them together.
Every time
I love trains. I took a train across this country. I'm going to do it again. And trains are great.
Every time I go to
trains, you steal from them.
Every time I go to Tokyo, humble brag. Every time I go to Tokyo, I go to the big camera in Akihabara, which has like the top floors, all these video games and figures, and there is a shelf in the Switch section that's nothing but train games. And every time I see it, I'm like, I guess there's autism here too. Like awesome.
Densha to go is great. You get shouted at by an anime girl when you go far too fast through stations. It's amazing. Especially when you play the old ones where the graphics make no sense, so you have no idea. It's like, avoid the tree. Is that a tree? I couldn't tell.
I'm always tempted, but I never get those games.
I'm just imagining like a busty anime girl dressed as a train, and you're going too fast on the line being "Chotto mate kudasai," like that kind of thing.
Yeah. That's the next big gacha game.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure there's an entire theme cafe about that in like Shinjuku or something.
Oh my god!
The problem is when you order, the food doesn't come. It gets replaced by a bus.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Rail joke.
The horse girl game is going to hit the Industrial Revolution, and we're going to get steam trains.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to start stealing the trains.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the horse girls ride alongside the trains in the American Southwest, and they steal from the train girls.
We should not talk about this because this is definitely something we can trademark and make 50 grand off.
Of course.
You're right.
Talking of trains, one of my favorite moments in the Jet episode is a train. I
Oh,
love when they're having that first talk where Fad brings up the who it is. Jet stays stoic, but they have a train go overhead, and it's mixed so loud. It's such a really nice cat way of showing off that Jet. Outside, he is cool, calm, collected Jet. Inside, he is boiling with rage, and
yeah.
is just about. And it contrasts so lovely with the very final bit of the episode where the gun hits the floor and you just hear it echo.
Yeah.
Like Jet is no longer. He's finished. He's no longer angry. He's gone to the next stage.
Yeah, there's odd punctuations of violence in this. Like, remember when they like kill the first like the pilot or whatever, and then they kill that guy for killing the hostage? They're like, you. Like, yeah, it's something we don't normally see a lot of at this stage in Bebop, unless it's a vicious episode. So moments like that, I'm always like, oh, okay, we're going there. Cool.
We're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
but it does seem like we should be talking some final thoughts though.
These are two very good backstory episodes. We've got one major one with Faye. We have kind of a half one with Jet, but this is really, I mean, this finally answers the question of what happens to Jet's arm, which is the big, and his time in the police force. Because of course the two would be inextricably linked. Of course, thematically that would always happen. So it's cool to see them kind of both jump in the spotlight for a bit because it doesn't happen as often as it maybe should.
Yeah, these are two really good episodes. They are very different, but they tackle very similar ideas. It's amazing for when you look at Bebop how varied it can be while still never feeling like it's straying off the path. There always feels there's design here, there's intent. This isn't just we're having a Faye episode to have a Faye episode. This Faye episode is going to have themes. Those themes are going to resonate. They're going to link to the other episodes. They're going to inform her previous behavior. They'll inform her future behavior. It all comes together like a nice jigsaw puzzle, which is very hard to do.
Yeah, I really like these episodes. I think that for the one-off episodes, they well, not one-off, but you know what I mean. Instead of being two-parters, they carry the themes between them very well. I like getting more time with the quote-unquote side characters, and I'm excited to be rewatching this. I've always loved Cowboy Bebop, remembering exactly how good it is, because you hear it all the time. Cowboy Bebop is amazing. It's one of the best anime ever made, and then you haven't watched it in a while, and you're like, yeah, it's really really good. And then you go back and you're like, oh no, it really is just that good. And I am the anti-hype guy, so I can fully admit that it is exactly as good as I remember, if not better. But that does mean that it is time that we pulled into our final destination. That's right, it is time to disembark from Toonami Absolution. We want to thank you once again for joining us and talking about the shows that made us us and the shows that made you you. We have been your hosts. My name is Alyx.
I'm Sam.
And I'm John.
And we'll see you next time. Bang.